Alright. Let's see. I'm still processing a video here, it looks like. Um, let's see. Turn that off. Dashboard. So, welcome to Spinfoil TV. I'm doing some setups in here, not too sure how to do all this right. Um, Background music is just me having some fun, but I'm not going to be able to do that. Let's see. I want to try to find the comments and stuff. Anyway, so this is Spinfoil TV, like I said. Your host, Hako, also known as Artist Poet on PlayStation Network. Anyway, so fourth day in a row, I think the Titans have swept the banners. At first, I was a little confused. Hunters had a really strong start on day one, and then our banner has been shrinking and falling basically down behind the podium into the floor. Um, that we're not losing in the Guardian games. We're just hiding in cover, waiting for the snipe. You'll see what I mean in a few minutes. Um, so this Guardian games coverage is really about my particular, tinfoil theories about what Bungie was really trying to do with this, and not just trying to stall us out a little bit because they are working from home. It is a struggle to maintain such a such a heavy, uh, intensely monitored game. I say that all with a little bit of sea salt, uh, because yeah. Anyway, so the Guardian games, in my opinion, are basically, like I said, I think it's one part stall until they can get back into their offices and do some real changes. They claim they're working from home. I want to believe them, so I give them that much of a credit. And yeah, but I also don't think that these games are really all about trying to find out which is the better class, which is the more productive class, or whatever like that. I think it's really Bungie's way of getting the community to get involved in, basically offer up or shut up. Too many times in our world when we are trying to find data to support claims, it's hard to find the information. You have somebody claiming that this is this and this is that, and back in the old 4chan days, we always claiming to be one thing or another, and then of course there was the other meme was like picks or shut up, but that's like the beat boards and all that other fun stuff. But I didn't do the beat boards. I just I know all this because of memes that came out years later. But I do remember being on the 4chan boards, and people talking about shit, blowing stuff out their ass, and a lot of us would be like, yeah, I went looking for that doc and I couldn't find it. Provide your link or redact your comment. Um, but yeah, it seems to be something of a journalist standard right now these days that everybody from our so-called trusted and respected news stations all the way on up to the hill, people just they're just saying shit because they can, and they're not really clearly identifying it as being their so-called opinion, uh, nor are they saying that, hey, this is so far the information is I have, this is what we can do about this, or this is what we should be doing about this. It's just crazy shit. But anyway, so like I said, in my opinion, and based upon my very casual observations, a lot of people, the developers, when they first announced this event, said that, this is the age-old question: which
Hello,
class is better?
Guardian.
And I
Welcome.
really don't think that's been the question. It's more of a statement. It's like which class is more
Guardians are always
which class is more meta than the others, and it has fluctuated through the years. I mean, there was a time when the hunters were very meta. You couldn't do pretty much anything without having at least one or two hunters in your fire team for raids. because there's a lot of utility in the hunter. But in recent times, it seems like the Titans really have stormed the meta, and that's great. I mean, I mained a Titan back in Destiny 1 for very obvious reasons. I thought the class was pretty well balanced. It had lots of diversity in it, and then a lot of the tools it had could be applied to many of the problems we faced as gamers in the game world, which is kind of what games are all about for me. Is seeing a puzzle and solving it, and sometimes the puzzle could be just as minor as how do I figure out how to get this weapon or this particular role or that kind of thing and all that, and it's just it's just the way it is. But the real topic of this stream is more of an existential thing. It's about the idea of
Good
what
luck,
it is to be a
champion.
hunter,
Slain
and
enemy,
like I said, this
gone.
brings up this concept in my head, this idea in my head, because like I said, on day one, hunters stormed the fucking field, man. We were up the banner wall, not as high as the Titans are now, but I would have to say I signed on to the tower at about 12 o'clock Pacific time, and we were about as high up, possibly even a little bit higher, somewhere between the Titans and the Warlocks are right now. We were there. Titans were all the way down, kind of low, and then by the next day, it's just been like bam. So now it's been Titans like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row. They have a 5-day streak going on here. Everybody's playing Titans now. I have to say, in the observations of systems
Any
and
questions?
group dynamics, this is kind of an armchair hobby of mine. Uh, it's kind of like the confirmation bias thing that you hear thrown around uh, comment boards, community boards, and stuff like that. It's like you want to believe something, so you find data to support this thing. Well, this is kind of also the same thing as the manifest destiny concepts. You can go look all that stuff up. I'm not going to blow your brains out by trying to explain it all. Um, the nutshell common man word here is um, because you see something becoming true, you join that, and because you've joined that, you now make it even more true.
We will get through
It's the
this.
bandwagon effect, and this is really an example of what the bandwagon effect is. I myself have played a Titan, or I'm from okay. Back in Destiny 1, I started with a Hunter and a Titan and a Warlock. I made all three classes. I played every one of them really, really well, and I liked them all very much. But I found that my play style favored the Titans
Making a
builds
purchase,
far more
or are
than
you
the
just here
Warlocks.
to chat?
And the only reason why I didn't play the Hunter so much early in Destiny is because he was so fragile. It was a paper tiger glass cannon type of character class, which is kind of sort of what the Hunter kind of would be, I would think. Lore-wise, it didn't really match with everything else I was reading about Hunters, so I just kind of didn't play them until shortly after Rise of Iron. I got in and just went nuts with the Hunter and found out that I was just misreading everything about the character's abilities and how they're applied. Um, so I got into playing a Hunter and pretty much never looked back. Destiny 2 came around. Of course, again, I made all three characters just because. Um, I'm a completionist, and I was trying to see if anything has changed, and not much has changed. Hunter still felt more comfortable to me to play, and Titans were kind of a close second, and Warlocks just kind of really weren't there. And because I played
I wish I could
because I
get
played a
more,
Hunter for
but
so much,
I'm
my
working now
Titan
after all.
never really kind of progressed. So I do have a Titan now,
We
and
have
believe it or not, the
accomplished
only
so
reason why I have a
much.
Titan, and I hate to say
Never
this,
forget that.
uh, is it helped me get all the trophies for the triumphs so that I could get the heir apparent. But honestly, that's pretty much it, right? That was a large part of why I had a Titan. Why I still played my Titan, because he could grind more daily bounties for the daily gold, and then he could also help me with the other progressions. Um, so yeah, as a result, I do have the heir apparent now. Am I okay with that? Yeah, I mean, there should be no problem in you playing all the classes, but the existential idea that I have here is, what is it to be a hunter versus what it is to be a titan or a warlock? And like I said, because I'm trying to rationalize the disparity of that Titans have sweat for 5 days straight now, and we started off with hunters off the bat, just going full strong, which is kind of what everybody more or less expected since there's so many hunters in the game. I don't think that's really the case. I think there may be that many hunters on accounts, but I don't think there's actually that many hunters actively playing now. And the simple reason is that Titans really are just a little bit easier to get through activities that the medals are based on. Um, I notice that I get at least 20 to 30% more laurels when I'm generating them with my grenades and my super abilities and my melees. Now, the hunter has a rolling melee in his art class, just like the Titan does, and yes, they both work with the hunter melee does not need an exotic to make it work, whereas the Titan rolling melee kind of does. It's the insurmountable skull fort, and so, but when it came to like sustainable damage times, the Titans have a lot more dots. They have damage over times. It's an MMORPG thing. Um, they have a lot more dots available to them. So when when facing situations that require massive damage output, Titans are literally the ones you want to send in as strikers, first responders, so to speak. Um, Even though it was Cade who was sent to the reef to deal with the Prison of Elders outbreak, not Zavala or Ikora. But so why play a hunter? Why have so many hunters in the game if the hunter is so not meta that his banner is actually dropping below the podiums? I mean, look at that. That's just crazy. This is why I have a Titan. Now that I've actually gotten the heir apparent, there's really no more reason for me to push bounties through this character. And I just want the ascended materials. That's pretty much all I care about. So, if it starts to look like warlocks are going to climb up, then I'll pop on my warlock and come out here and collect the materials. So, why should you have all three different character classes? Yeah, kind of, sort of, for situations like this. But yeah, here's the curious thing. If you guys would flashback a little while back, they had faction rallies here for a while, and I thought at one time we could have one rally, one faction on each character, and then you would just play. But then they made it so that it was like one faction per account, I think, or something like that. So, yeah. So this is a perfect example of the bandwagon effect, I think. Coupled with the fact that, Titans are just more committed to getting through their stuff, and I'm really kind of questioning as to what is going through the hunter players' minds. So that's kind of what this video is really more about, is why do you play a hunter? Why did you have a hunter in your account? Why aren't you playing him enough to get the medals? And what makes the Titan class seem that much more viable in the current game state? And I'm sure these are questions that Bungie developers are asking themselves too. Like I said, I think the Guardian games are one part stall until they are able to, set up their infrastructure from home offices better, so they can actually, get into the game and do all the tooling they wanted to do. And then also, second, another part is having the community help them figure out where the balancing is going on in the game. And I think that's really kind of what the gist is. It's not just a competition to settle the score, kind of so to speak. I think that's kind of like the blanket position that they're putting out there, so people can it's kind of like adding a little sugar to vegetables to get kids to eat their vegetables. And I'm not saying like you have to put like tablespoons or teaspoons of sugar over, but believe it or not, a little pinch of sugar sprinkled over broccoli, the same way you would do the same way they recommend doing for oatmeal. Just grab a pinch of sugar and sprinkle it over the broccoli, and the kids will they'll go for it, and then eventually you just stop doing the sugar and they just like the taste of the broccoli. This is a trick that some cultures do to get their kids into eating vegetables more. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, I just kind of segued a little bit. So yeah, go ahead. If you see this video, I'll keep it up for a couple days. Um, Go ahead and leave some comments about, if you're playing a hunter, what it is for you about hunters that keep you playing hunters in light of this event here, and do you feel equally the same about all three classes, and they're just a tool, part of the toolbox, and you grab whichever one is best suited for the meta or for the conditions? And in that case, why choose the hunter instead of the titan or the warlock, or why choose a titan or a warlock over the hunter? Um, the question still
Just
stands.
browsing, are we?
When and why do you choose a hunter? And yeah, hopefully, maybe with a few call outs and tags to Bungie, they might even take notice of it and ask themselves that question too, or because maybe they're not using us as a way to, determine for ourselves what we want or what we're doing. Maybe they really are just doing this as a stall until they can get their home offices coordinated better for the upcoming content, because there's a large load of stuff that's coming. I'm kind of looking forward to it, but Destiny for me has kind of always been a drop in, play some games, get out, go do other things kind of game for me. I've only recently been, camping this game as much as I have. I don't really grind it. I mean, I start feeling like things are a grind, I go somewhere else, or I do something else. That's not what games are supposed to be, and it's not like I make a living on this. So, anyway, this has been Hako with Spinfoil TV, and
Just
I appreciate
browsing,
it. If
are
you've
we?
gotten this far into the video, please let me know what you think about your hunter, whether or not you have one, why you don't, why you do, and why you choose the hunter over the other classes,
We
and why
will
you don't.
do it again.
I'll be in touch, and enjoy the games.